Hey y'all, Dana Stokes here, and I am a local realtor with the Litchfield Company, and today I am delighted to say that I have my good friend with me, Lee Brockington. Lee, you are a local historian, you are a history consultant, formerly of Hobcall Barony, and thank you so much for being with us today. Lee is a widely published author, contributor to magazines, internet sites, newspaper articles, rich with so much knowledge and history of our area, and I'm excited because you're going to take us on a little trip today. One of the things I love most about Lee, and you will too, is her captivating way of telling a story, and I can't wait to go on an adventure with you today. Where are we going to go?
Let's go up the Waccamaw Neck, and then let's take a turn on to Pawleys Island. You know, a lot of people don't realize that the Native Americans settled on this neck first, this huge peninsula of land, and lent its name, Waccamaw, which means coming and going. Think of that tidal river, the Waccamaw River, on one side of the Waccamaw Neck, and then a large expanse of salt marsh, the Barrier Island, Pawleys Island, and the Atlantic Ocean. Waccamaw coming and going, but by the 1720s, nary a Native American. They've been pushed out, many of them up in North Carolina. The Waccamaw people exist today to further their history, but think of all the place names in this area that are either Native American or of early settlers, like the Alstons and the Pawleys. They got some of the first land grants in the 1720s on the Waccamaw Neck, and at that time the land grant extended from the river to the sea. So imagine those early connections with the Alstons, the Pawley family, and then the LaBruces and the Frasers, names we hear over and over on Pawleys. Think about coming across that South Causeway. What we call the South Causeway, the historic marker, reads Alston's Bank, and built by 1854 to allow access to some of the first 11 homeowners, some of the oldest houses on the island.
Well, Lee, speaking of historical markers, there's one in particular on the island that I would like for us to take a little closer look at today, and that would be the LaBruce Lemon Home.
Oh, that great historic house, easily recognizable because of the outbuildings on the properties and then a freestanding kitchen connected by a breezeway. The LaBruce family, by 1842, 1848, had built their summer house not too far from their plantation on the Waccamaw River. They had owned Oak Hill and Grove Hill, producing indigo and later, of course, rice plantations made up today in Arcadia. So familiar on the Waccamaw Neck. Their beach house, again, prior to the Civil War, provided a summer retreat from what was often called the miasma. It was mosquitoes. They knew it was connected to the rice fields.
That sounds a little fancier than mosquitoes.
Miasma, bad air, malaria. They knew at Pawleys Island the magic was here. They didn't know exactly. It was the breezes and the salt marsh and the salt water itself that was keeping many of the mosquitoes at bay. It certainly was cooler, and it was certainly simpler. And as the LaBruce family came over each summer and utilized the house both before and after the war, it's amazing that the LaBruce house stayed in that family until about 1901. Then a well-known Georgetown family owned it for another 50 or so years, the Kaminsky family.
Yes.
First Hyman and Rose Kaminsky, so well known for starting the business, the Kaminsky Hardware, that became the Rice Museum buildings in Georgetown, but also their son Harold Kaminsky and his wife Julia inherited the beach house, and then they also purchased a house on Front Street that is better known today at the Kaminsky House Museum. So think of the connections between those first two families, the LaBruce family that built the house, used it, owned it, its heirs until 1900, 1901, the Kaminskys for so long, but then it was in the 1950s that Mr. Calhoun Lemon purchased that house, and 4 or 5 generations of the Lemon family have enjoyed that house for almost 70 years now, taking care to preserve it, its cypress, its pine, its cedar shingles on the house, its distinctive porch and creek dock. The Lemon family has loved that house for generations.
And it's so nestled right there in between those little dunes. And it is just in its own little safe haven. Lee, one of my favorite things about Pawleys Island is sitting on a dock on the creek, smelling that wonderful, what I call fragrant aroma of fluff mud. If you're from here and you grew up with it, it's near and dear to your heart. And you've got a little piece of history that you want to share with us about the LaBruce Lemon Home and their creek dock.
Absolutely interesting to find out that as early as 1848, not only was the house in place, but also the LaBruce Creek Dock built and rebuilt at that spot by the LaBruces, by the Kaminskis, and especially by the Lemons. Again, 70 years, this idea that their creek dock has been built and rebuilt, but always in that same spot. So you can sit there and imagine yourself as any of those historical figures that lived in that home before. Creek docks themselves are a great place to tie up the boat, to drop that crab trap in, and if nothing else, to enjoy the sunset over the Waccamaw River as you look out at Pawleys Islands Creek and Salt Marsh. That salt marsh and estuary where fresh and salt water meet and mix, where shrimp live as a nursery ground as they begin their ocean voyage. Fishing, shrimping, crabbing in the Pawleys Island Creek is the same as it was during the entire Lemon ownership, same as it was during the years of the LaBruce. Pawleys Island's marsh and creek hold magic, particularly in that spot we call the Lemon Home, the LaBruce Lemon House.
Are y'all captivated like I'm captivated? Because Lee, I mean, you really have totally transported me, and I cannot wait. Well, can we do this again?
I'd love to do it again.
Can we talk about some other areas of our unique town and just this beautiful place that we live here in South Carolina?
Absolutely.
Right here on the coast. Y'all, we're gonna have more of Lee, so keep tuned in and keep watching and look for our videos to come out, because we just are excited about sharing the history and the culture of our beautiful place that we call home in South Carolina. For more information about Lee, please follow the link below, and you can follow her and all that she's up to and learn more about all of her adventures, and let her share with you some of the wonderful history insights that she has. For more information about sales or rentals for real estate, you can contact me, Dana Stokes, or Nancy Seo through the Litchfield Company.